Hello and welcome to Analysts Gone Wild. Robert Kramer here, and we're on episode 32. And I love that intro music, Sam. It's kind of catchy, kind of gets us all going. Shashi loves the music because it helps his marketing and his emoji and his title. But I'm with More Insights and Strategy, and we're here to talk about some pretty good stories. We have some new ones today that I think we're all going to like. But let's introduce ourselves. I cover ERP, SEM, data, and let's turn it over to Jan. As far as tell us where you're at today and what's going on.
Yeah, hey guys, and thank you for having me here with you. I mean, after a while, it's been like I don't know, like a 6 or even more months, right? Since I joined this wonderful show, and I'm very glad that it evolved into something really like a bigger and including the very cool jingle, right? And yeah, so just like also to the audience, just to a little bit like a reminder of who I am. I'm actually the analyst, I mean, partially independent analyst focusing on a digital technology in manufacturing supply chain, more industrial domain. But I'm also the head of tech insights with Trusk. Trusk is a IT service provider, I would say quite big in Europe and also partially in the US and Canada.
Great. Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas Wieberneit. I'm the principal analyst and founder of Ahead CRM. And as the name suggests, I'm focusing on customer-facing processes, which will include all sorts of non-CRM system stuff like engagement systems, commerce system, mobile, and who doesn't do AI these days?
Shashi, how are you doing? Good to see you again. Thanks for joining.
Yeah, good. I am the surprise guest. If anybody joined this show to find out who the surprise guest was, I'm Shashi Bellamkonda. I'm Principal Research Director of the Infotech Research Group. I have about 400 colleagues focusing on CIOs and CTOs. My focus is mostly marketing and AI software, a combination of both, and also helping people implement. Very happy to join this. And Sam, I always love this show, so more people should actually subscribe to your feed.
Thank you.
And we have a birthday boy from yesterday. One day, 1 year older in one day. So Sam, tell us about how your birthday was and a little bit about yourself.
Oh, that was so exciting. Everybody was cheering on LinkedIn, and I don't know whether you have seen the post or
Yeah.
not. It was very ERP flavored. That's the kind of birthday I always want. There was no CRM in that birthday. Sorry.
Well, that's good because today we have an interesting one. As I was taking a look at the deck, it's a little heavier on ERP than normal. So I think the people on the call today will have a lot to weigh in on that, just because of the consistency with the stories that are heavy on ERP, which we actually haven't had. We've been, Thomas has been, having the flavor of the week of CRM usually. So we talk about customer engagement and CRM, but the lights they need to stay on. And ERP is that transactional system that I think is the most important over CRM. Doesn't mean that I don't like CRM, but I think that most companies will say that the ERP is more important. But let's get the feedback on that as we continue the show. But so SAP, they launch a new cloud-based system, the SAP customer checkout solution. And I believe, Sam, you have to correct me if I'm wrong, but this was an on-premise solution. Now that's going to the cloud. It's probably a needed enhancement, and it's important to retailers and different industries that have POS systems, specifically like sports or entertainment and things of that nature. I think it reduces the IT burden by putting it into the cloud. It's just kind of a natural progression. But Jan, why don't you go first, since you have some experience in supply chain and things of this nature?
Yeah, I mean, thanks for that. I mean, you're right. So I can see it as like a logic evolvement in this kind of like a strategy going from on-prem to cloud, right? It's obvious that SAP is going this way for a long time, so this step probably makes sense. And also, it's clear that the organizations, I mean, they, I would say, clients or customers of SAP, they are, let's say, they increase the digital sales, right? So quite heavily, 80-90%, right, in 2023, 2024. So the expectations are high. So yeah, I mean, for me, it's not a surprise that SAP is really pushing hard into this domain.
Great.
I can say.
Thomas or Shashi?
Well, it was about time, right? There are well-working cloud-based POS systems since 2012 or 13, and SAP's overall strategy is going into the cloud. So this was a desperately missing piece of.
Why did it take them so
completing
long?
the
What do you guys
strategy.
think? Like,
Pardon
why 10 years past the time when it started, 13 years when you said the first one was introduced? And why is it taking them so long?
It's probably not really a focus of SAP, or hasn't been a focus of SAP. I mean, as you said, many companies are reliant on their ERP system and probably think of that being more important than other systems. And there are,
This
the
is part of that
market is
system.
not exactly uncontested.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's quite crowded.
Yeah, but also it might be a reason. I mean, it could be also that, I mean, the competitors of SAP, you know, so they also try to come up with quite like end-to-end solutions. I mean, like Infor and the others, right? And but some of them, they don't have that possibility to have their own ERP data source, right? So maybe the point, I mean, the situation now is to really, I mean, come up with the end-to-end solution covered by SAP, having also the like a warehouse management system, accounting applications in it. So maybe that's, as you said, right? So it's about time, right?
So I'm actually sorry, Sashi. Just 1 second. So you know, Thomas. So I guess you are probably going to have more background on this one. And before we get too far ahead on the story, you know, so in this case, I don't know if this is going to be on-prem to cloud transition. I don't know if they had on-prem version from the POS perspective. Obviously, their EWM and WMS offering is very different, Jan. So this is the POS offering, and for the most part, as far as my understanding goes, in the SAP portfolio, their retail solution was very third-party in the on-prem world. I don't know if they had a real POS. But in cloud, the strategy may be slightly different. For example, Salesforce did not have a POS either because they wanted to work with Shopify, right? And Shopify did not have either, to be completely honest. So all of them launched because now this could be a data play, AI play. That could be the reason why they have that. Oracle always have had a POS. When you go to any of the retail outlets, you can see Oracle there. I don't know if anybody has seen SAP anywhere. You can see IBM, you can see NCR, but I don't know if
Even Epicor.
Epicor had it as well. You are right. You are right.
Yep.
You are right.
Yeah.
I think you all visit. Sorry, you finish, Sam.
No. Go ahead, Shashi. I just wanted
I
to set
think
these
you all visit very exclusively top of the line, very technology forward retailers, it seems like, because I think if you look at the retailers in general, they are still much behind. And all these point solutions, some of them 20 years old, did not advance far enough. So, like Thomas mentioned, maybe 10 years ago, there were a lot of providers who came up with like cloud POS solutions. Now, there's a huge backlash in the enterprise where they want to consolidate all their software offerings. They don't want to have like 300 different offerings. So SAP has a threat, right? Like the next person who comes along says that, hey, you can actually take off 2 or 3 of your software providers by our solution. So I think Jan mentioned that a little bit. So this is number one, modernization. SAP customers will make you top of the line like everybody else. We will help you get AI ready, right? And it'll be a much better customer experience. I think it's a good step. They could have bought some other company instead of developing it. Maybe they felt it was too expensive to buy.
But Sam, see if you agree and everybody else.
Yeah.
This is just a step in the right direction. There's another step, right? So the next step is getting more to an agentic AI architecture for ERP, and this is just one, next step. But the final one, I think, Sam, and we've talked about this, is more of a modernized solution where ERP is at a different level. This is a module within it that AI agents talk to AI agents, and this is more integrated probably than it is in this step. But I think that this is positive, but there's in a couple of years it might look a little different.
So, I mean, overall, from the strategy perspective, I would say it's all subjective, depending upon who's going to who is going to be happy, and who's not going to be. Because in this case, when you are going to launch your own POS, you are probably going to piss off vendors such as your NCR and IBM, because that was their primary market share. So now, what happens to them? Are they going to launch their ERP now? So now everybody's sort of all over the place, right? So that's where I would say SAP always had very ecosystem friendly strategy. Now everybody is launching POS. They must have a reason why they are launching, and for the most part, I think this is a data play, because there was a time when everybody wanted to launch their phone, because phone was sort of the gateway for every single data set, data point.
They should have.
I don't
But
know if
don't
you
you
want.
think this is a smart move for more of a fully integrated system?
Yeah, there's a question from Andy in the audience.
Have an own solution before. Sorry for interrupt, but this is not a new launch.
It's not. It's a rewrite.
It's cloudifying, whether they rewrote it or just quote unquote ported it. That maybe anybody's
They used
guess.
vibe code.
Yeah, maybe
to launch it quicker.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Sam. I think we have a couple questions. Why don't we tackle those real quick?
Yeah, so Andy's saying, is this a real rewrite of the POS solution to utilize a true SaaS model, or the same code line merely hosted? And again, Thomas, I think you are going to have more background in this, because my understanding is that no. So this is part of SAP Commerce, and you
rewrote it.
No, but in your case, you were part of that group, I guess. SAP Commerce and the POS should be part of that group as well. I don't know if this is third party or SAP owned.
That was after my time there.
Okay.
That was after my time. But I surely hope they rewrote it, and instead of just putting it into a container and naming it cloud.
Okay, so I don't know if anybody else has any other comments on this one. I have one more. So this is coming from Tony. Hi, Tony. B2B commerce is growing really rapidly. That makes it SAP's interest also. This is a very interesting comment. Obviously, SAP has tremendous market share, I would say, in the B2B market. I don't know about B2B commerce. I don't know how many companies are using SAP Hybris now. And I don't know if this is going to change, but this is a very interesting comment.
I think just to comment on this, retailers still had a big challenge trying to bridge their physical stores with what they're doing online. I mean, whichever way this goes, this is definitely going to make it better. Like you always walked into a store and said like, hey, I needed this, and the online experience was very different, and people would say, I don't know if that's available in our store. So this will be a better experience.
Shashi, and that problem is not changing even in the agentic world, I guess, in the next 50 years. And I'll tell you why. Because retailers always have had a very legacy architecture, and that is designed for a purpose. If you are going to connect all of those data sets, I don't think retailers can move with the same speed. That is number one. And number two, the cost of transactions are going to be much higher. And that is probably the reason why retailers never sort of had a real ERP system. Even the larger ones, I mean, they are all over the place with their architecture. For the most part, their ERPs are going to be Blue Yonders of the world, JDAs of the world, and people can argue that they are probably not really ERP, I guess. I don't know, where Robert stands in that. But for the most part, I mean, they never had any sort of ERP. Sometimes ERP sitting inside POS. Sometimes that is sitting in their merchandising system. And sometimes that is in their data warehouse.
So I did just a quick check of it was a rewrite, and I think they're saying that they refactored parts of the code line to move it to the so it can run in the cloud environment. So I guess it's a kind of a combination of a rewrite and a refactored part of the code. But do you guys think that it needs to be rewritten to be able to be part of that architecture, kind of more open to what we're talking about, Sam, and the agentic AI ERP to be able to blend in with that better? Do you think they did it right by what the code was just refactored?
Well, a
Sorry, go ahead.
question for you all in reaction to your question, Robert, is we have retailers, legacy system, and everything else, right? And we're talking about agentic AI. And if you consider Amazon, Amazon's biggest threat is Walmart, because Walmart has physical stores all over. Amazon cannot expand into the grocery market unless it fixes some problems. But look at their POS systems. I mean, you literally can walk out without even going to the cash register, right?
You're talking like at entertainment centers, like a baseball game or anything you go to that you walk in, or even events.
No,
that
I'm
we-
talking about Amazon Fresh stores.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
they have them at events, and I guess the same thing. You walk
Yeah.
in, you scan your card, and then you go walk out, and it charges you.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the experience. Whereas everywhere else, you're like waiting in line even for self-service, and self-service doesn't recognize your card.
Mhm.
So I think SAP will help their customers get far ahead very quickly. So I think that should be the mission.
Right. But that didn't answer the question I was asking of the next. Did they do the job that they should have done in the rewrite versus the kind of reshape or refactor?
Yeah, so I can take that question unless Thomas, do you want to go on this question? I think you are going to have probably far superior insights there. No?
Well, I'd go with Tony's comment here, the one that just came in. The relevant, no, not that one, the omni-channel interface one, which may or may not yet be in your stream.
Yeah, our systems are highly disconnected, so sometimes we don't get
So
comments.
Sorry. What Tony just
We
said
need SAP
or
here.
wrote is omni-channel interface is ownership without pause is very difficult. SAP would love to own both backend and frontend, and this is probably one of the key reasons for going there with renewed energy. Because what we see is what we see pretty much everywhere is converging commerce experiences or offerings. Do it via e-commerce, traditional e-commerce like Ibris or SAP Commerce as it's named now. Go via messaging channels. I mean, WhatsApp commerce is coming strong, and combine that with retail. So the ability of having one POS system, one payment system across all these channels will become more and more important. This is one of the core reasons why they are getting there, regardless of whether this is a mere rewrite, a refactoring or a rewrite or a combination thereof. I mean, even if it's only a refactoring, quote unquote, not all code that is written for scalable use on premise is useless in the cloud world. So that doesn't really matter for me from a technology point of view.
I agree. Why should it matter to customers?
Yeah.
Yeah, but customers don't know that, Shashi, and so in general, they are going to feel that they have very clunky experience. So whenever you use any system that claim that they are cloud, but they are not necessarily cloud underneath, obviously from the marketing perspective, everything is AI and cloud. But from the redesign perspective, it very rarely is, because rewriting does require a lot of investment. In general, the cloud systems are far more expensive to write, and that's why these vendors are not able able to rewrite their legacy workloads. And then you also have to worry about the reverse compatibility, because you are going to have existing customers. So sometimes that's why it is much easier for newer companies to be able to spin off these workloads. And that's going to happen in the AI native world as well. The same thing happened with cloud native. It's not that these vendors were sleeping. They knew this is going to happen, but it was a different challenge for them to be able to come up with the same cloud native technology, just because they had to please their existing customers. So cloud native sort of branched off a lot of newer vendors, and the same thing is going to happen with the AI native architecture as well. There is no way these newer vendors, not newer vendors, the older ones, the legacy ones, they can provide the same capabilities, just because, again, they have to please their existing customers. So there is a chance that we might have much bigger AI native vendors.
Yeah, but I think that's the question to ask, right? Like, how AI ready is this new POS solution, or data ready is this new POS solution?
In my experience, Shashi, I think POS is going to be easy swap. It does not have the same problems as your, organizational system, such as your ERP, because with ERP, you are literally shaking the foundation. With POS, maybe you are shaking one store. It's not a big deal. So POS, again, does not have the same, I would say, gravity or magnitude in terms of the change management.
Right. This is the key part, though, for SAP to do this, because it integrates with their main ERP, as you just mentioned. But I think that they surveyed, Sam, their demographics and their customers, and they saw that there was an opening for a system here that helps. And for the long term, I think this is a good move.
Yeah.
I think customers need to reduce their technology stack, and this is an ability to give it more of an all-in-one for their customers who need it. So
that's basically it, and it's extending the moat that SAP needs and wants.
Do they have a payment system?
I don't know if they are going to launch the payment as well, but that's a great question. Shopify does, and generally payment has a much bigger cash flow, I guess, for companies and revenue flow. I don't know if these guys are going to launch that. That's too much getting into commerce business, I guess.
Maybe we'll be in a few episodes. We'll be discussing this.
I mean, there's always a chance. Okay, so we have one more comment here if you want to discuss that, and maybe we can go to the next story. Okay, so one comment from Andy. I found it interesting that they literally used the term cloud-based, which is very interesting. Thank you so much for catching that, Andy. Instead of SaaS, led me to think of the ease of updates, but more importantly, you need the technical architecture, etc., to truly utilize AI, etc. So cloud-based, when somebody says, there is a chance that it might not be cloud native. They are probably trying to be careful. They are not using SaaS either, so which is very interesting. Any other comments on that? No?
I agree.
Okay, we can go to the next one if you want, Robert.
Yeah, it was to talk about CISPRO. So they expand their smart factory manufacturing capabilities. They're acquiring RightSoft, which is an MES software. So what does this do? It helps more with the shop floor. It gives them more capabilities for the mid-market, which they're in. What I like about it is it brings in IoT and smart, automation. I talk a lot about Industry 5.0. This is more towards 4.0, I would say, smart manufacturing, but it will kind of allow these manufacturers to keep on moving down that Industry X journey. And I think it just gives them more capabilities, and it allows the capability of transactions being brought to the ERP, which will help with supply chain and other things that we're going to talk about today. So why don't we start with let's do it, Jan, again. What do you think?
So just a small correction, Robert, before we move too far ahead in this. This is the disconnect, right? And Shashi always talks about this because the title reads smart manufacturing capability. So your heads are going to be that this is probably MES. I don't know if I have seen MES anywhere. This is my understanding is that this is a WMS acquisition, which is more of the warehouse acquisition. But marketing can be all over the place.
Yeah, I think I meant to say that it's kind of like the bridge between MES and ERP. So I made a mistake there. So thank you for correcting me.
That's
Yeah.
okay. Anybody would do that because of the title, I guess.
No, but I think some of my other comments hold some water. But thanks for the correction. But maybe not. You guys can correct me on those too. Jan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when I did some like a research addressing, this announcement, I was actually, frankly, I was familiar with the SysPro, but not that much with like a RightSoft or the RightScan. But actually, then I realized that there was like a long-standing partnership, right, between those, right? So that seems that it's actually some kind of like a logic shift into the, say, being more together and making right scan, especially right scan mobile warehouse for SysPro, the say embedded part of the SysPro solution. That's how I see it. So I mean, of course, if it would be like MES, it would be also make a sense. But generally speaking, I can see that. I mean, looking also into the like a Gartner voice of customer ranking or the report, I could see that the SysPro was quite, let's say, low, right, into the graph. So bringing or adding like a new proprietary features, let's put it like that, or sub solutions might also get help them to be recognized by the not just a current but the future customers as more as like a platform, right, with more areas to be covered by that, but just like the core one, and then the rest are by the partners. So this is I mean what I would say for this, right? Makes sense, definitely, but on the other hand, there was like a long-term partnership already, so not I don't see it like a very big deal, but maybe you have some additional opinion on that.
I was researching this, and I wanted to point out what Elevate IQ says about this. It's going to be a fully aligned roadmap solution, increased deployment speed, and more automation tools. And I fully agree with that.
And that's Elevate IQ's marketing. So don't read too much into that, I guess.
I kind of agree with Jan that this is not, it's more of a marketing play. I think it's a practice that needed the features and capabilities, but I don't think it's that big of a deal. So I agree. But Thomas, what do you think?
Oh, well, it's making things easier for customers while increasing again the own mode. So this is RightSoft offers something that customers of SysPro need anyways. Why not offering it out of the box? We are more and more industries and technologies are looking into platform and breadth and width of platforms.
Yeah,
so
don't their competitors already have this feature, Sam?
So yeah, I guess there are a lot of different layers here, right? So one reason why SysPro is doing that, and maybe two reasons, right? One is their latest the private equity acquisition that they have. 90% of the private equities, they are going in the acquisition mode because they know that they cannot develop these features overnight. So that's one layer, right? The next layer is cloud native systems. They had very different strategy in general to compete with the other legacy vendors. The legacy vendors never sort of had WMS systems integrated and baked as part of their systems because they wanted to allow other partners to make some money as well. But now that's changed with cloud native. So they are including a lot of WMS capabilities. So now that's a threat for vendors like SysPro and SAP and a lot more that were slightly more horizontal, I would say, in their approach. So that's the reason why these guys are trying to do that. And Jan is right that this relationship was always there. ISVs were always there. ISVs were making money, but now things have changed because ISVs, you are going to have different problems. They are going to have very different pricing structure. SysPro is not going to have as much control on them. So what do? We acquire them.
It's making it easier for customers.
Yeah.
And it's making investors happy because there's a growth.
I talked to some of these manufacturing execution systems, and my I would divide them into two categories. One is like they actually manufacture equipment that the manufacturing factories use, and they have software to manage that, right? And they are trying to get into adjacent areas so that once again, they keep buying their equipment and use their software. But most of the people that I've seen are catering to like really large manufacturing. The aim here for small and medium manufacturers, I think, is a bigger market. So they may be on the right track here with CISPRO.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we got a couple. Do we have any questions? No, I don't think we do.
Yeah, I think this is the old one that we had, and
Yeah.
there might be a
Yeah.
delay. And this is seamless integration, just 5 minutes delay. Sorry,
Well,
guys.
I think, like you mentioned, Sam, this is part of their growth strategy. So all these ERP vendors have to have a strategy of where they want to be in 5 years, work their way backwards. I think there's going to be some consolidation still in the industry, and maybe this company is one of those to be consolidated. But there has to be that because the systems are going to change drastically over the next 2 to 4 years, 5 years, whatnot. So I think this is just part of their strategy. But what's your prediction about some of these acquisitions? Or
Yeah,
CISPRO
so
do one?
I would say, these guys are going to be more aggressive, and that's how I would say the bigger private equities, the way they work, with the only exception being Thoma Bravo, they have slightly different strategy. They believe in rewriting long term. They take position for a very long time. Generally, private equity companies such as your Advent, they are probably going to be very short term. And when you are going to take that 5-year run, it's very, 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 very hard to rewrite. So every private equity has different strategy in terms of how they want to invest. That my take is going to be that CISPRO is going to be very aggressive. They have already done a lot of acquisitions, and they are probably going to be very similar to, I would say, ECI is the most aggressive. Advantive, obviously, because their starting is really from the acquisition, so they don't write anything, I guess. Apicor, they are always acquiring as well. In 4, they used to acquire a lot, but they have stopped. They are not acquiring as much. Thomas, to your comment related to whether it is good for customers or not, I think that may be subjective. I'll tell you why. Because once you acquire one ISV solution, then what happens is with the other options that you may have in your ecosystem, so they are going to feel threatened because now you are offering WMS, and from the customer's perspective, customers don't always want what CISPRO is going to say or SAP is going to say. Sometimes they are looking for options as well. Okay, so in this case, obviously they are going to get one option, which is CISPRO sold.
Well, they still have the choice.
They have, but I mean, they are
Because
probably not going to be as integrated.
The other ones are not going away, and the ones who have both option or both systems, means the CISPRO and the RightSoft, for them it's easier.
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at the channel conflicts, I mean, there is a reason why channel conflict exists even today. When you start cannibalizing your own channel, it just does not go as well, I guess, and that's why the vertical vendors will never have the same impact as the horizontal vendors, because horizontal vendors are committing to their channel and partners that, okay, we'll never compete with you. In fact, that is the commitment of SAP. I mean, they are very, very, very upfront about that for us, partners matter as much as customers.
Well, there is the other story with Celonis coming up.
Exactly.
There are always not problems, challenges with being in a co-opetition environment. So the question of delivering your additional capability that partners deliver as well, that is always there, that will be there, and it will remain. And there's no ecosystem, call it owner, that will guarantee anybody that their niche will stay exclusive to them. I mean, look at Salesforce. They are probably the worst ones in that game, or the best ones, depending on how you want to look at it. But there is advantage to offering integrated capabilities out of one hand. Will you be always able to deliver all of it? No, you won't. Will it always be the best? No, it won't. And does it need choice? Of course it does.
Yeah, I completely agree with your comments. Yeah.
Just a quick note, Sam. I think there's a compelling story about all these on-prem customers that these ERP companies have currently, and I think there are a lot of these customers who haven't committed to go to the cloud or SaaS or whatever you want to call it, or because of the fact they need to see what the return on investment is. And I think they're all kind of sitting back to see how the ERP industry kind of shakes out, and a compelling reason to go to the cloud, because there's still an exorbitant amount of customers on-prem.
Yeah, I mean, we can go into a rabbit hole here. So how about throwing a wrench there? The ones who benefit most of cloud software are the vendors.
Well, I don't think so. But
that's why
I don't think so. I think customers can benefit greatly if the software is I guess written for the architecture that we were talking about previously, and that gives that company more of a consumption-based pricing where more people can be on the system, and the systems are doing what they're supposed to do. So that's a cloud-based system.
Okay. Another wrench there, consumption-based pricing is all about increasing prices.
Yeah, but you know what? Is pricing that big of a deal if it works and makes you more efficient? I mean, you have to pay for what you get. I mean, the vendors are entitled to make the money.
Yeah, well, they are, yeah. But as such, so I stand to my words. The major benefit is with the vendors.
You'd have to show me that
from reduced support cost, actually.
Consumption can be split up in a way that it works for the customers too, that it mirrors what your per license cost would be, but you get more users on the system. It just depends on, we have to break it down a little bit. Maybe we can have one of those fireside chats about it, right, Sam?
Yeah, we should organize that. But for now, I guess let's focus on the story. Next story, Robert.
Okay, let's move on.
Yeah,
Thomas will duke it out sometime. But anyways, we're talking about Unit 4 ERP. I think that this is, I don't know if it's a huge story, but it's a nice story that they're putting their ERP in the marketplace for Microsoft Azure. It seems more marketing that now it's available for those customers that already are Azure shops. But I don't see a gigantic play here that it's big time newsworthy, but I think it's a plus. What do you guys think?
I can go. That's it.
Sure. Light it up.
So one of the trends that I'm seeing is using Microsoft as a channel is hugely beneficial to a lot of customers. Number one is lower cost of acquisition of a customer. They also, even though the profitability also may be lower there, but it's a huge way to get new acquisitions. So that's one good thing I'm reading from this.
Is that more marketing, or is that?
But I was going to the technology part of it.
What if I'm an AWS shop? I don't know. What if I'm OCI?
The Microsoft system seems to be a little bit more closed in the sense that's one of the reasons why their Copilot is also hugely successful, because you're already on Microsoft. It's very easy to say we have Copilot, we have agents and everything else. So similarly, I think AWS is huge, right? You can probably get every solution under the earth, whereas Microsoft, you have to be a Microsoft shop in a way, right? There are two things in this. One is the modular part of it. I think is you're not downloading everything that the ERP can do on your mobile phone. You're only downloading the module. If it works the way they are saying it, I think it's good, because you don't need a lot of processing power. And the second thing I want to understand is they said they have Edge AI. My example of Edge AI is Google Photos. If you're using a Google Pixel, far better than anything else it's on. And that's going to be the future, in my opinion, because not everybody wants to send data over to a AI data center. They want to try to do it on their own device, right? So they're on the right track. I'm sure they'll keep trying and make it more successful. So customer experience, customer acquisition is probably a good thing here. So maybe alluding to what you said, there's a lot of market development in this announcement.
Go ahead.
I mean, what I found and what I heard was that, I mean, especially this this thing is related mostly to the, let's say, focused on industries like a public sector, non-profit, and professional services, right? So it's not like manufacturing and some other stuff, right? So the important thing is that, I mean, going to the marketplace should also be helping not just to streamline the procurement process, but also to ease the deployment, right, for those types of organizations. Plus, I mean, that actually exemplifies the trend, right, where the ERP vendors collaborate with hyperscalers, right, to leverage the security and services on cloud platforms. So that's probably that would be behind this, right?
Yeah. So, guys, couple of comments from my side. So, I guess, I mean, you all are right. And I like what Shashi said there overall, I guess, in terms of the alignment of technologies. And Robert, I think you had a comment there as well in terms of if I'm the OCI shop versus, some other cloud. In general, the way the industries are structured, for the most part, if you're going to be an ERP shop, what that means is you are probably going to be on .NET, okay? Because 90% of the ERP systems are on .NET, which means Microsoft. Oracle is Java, so you are not going to find as many shops that are going to be on Java. They are going to be in banking, insurance, financial services. Those are very heavy on custom development. Their IT budget is probably going to be similar to what is SAP's revenue. So I don't know if they need an ERP. Generally for them, ERP is very different. It's just GL, So now in this case, my take on the story, and I think Robert, you had that point as well in your comment. When you look at ERP, I mean, you can align pricing, marketing, everything, just like your Microsoft Docs. But at the same time, ERP is not supposed to be an app. Okay, it never is. So even if you are making this available on the App Store, I don't know what are you trying to accomplish, because the customers, they are never going to buy from it. And if they buy, you are going to open up a lot of problems. Because nobody should be consuming ERP like this. Okay, it's not meant to be an app. It's not supposed to be an app. So that's where my problem is with these announcements. Why companies are doing that, it makes no sense whatsoever. The only thing that might be helpful here is, let's say if somebody is utilizing Microsoft Azure and they want to make the deployment easier after signing the contract, there might be some play here, but for the most part, the story does not have as much meaning from the commercial standpoint, in my opinion. Okay, if you guys don't have any other comments, we have some comments from the audience.
Might just be because of Microsoft's sales model. I mean, they are pretty much going via partners. So, and if you put it on the marketplace, you are opening it up for all sorts of partners.
Microsoft is very partner friendly, the way their model is. I mean, everybody that are going to be horizontal platforms, Oracle, SAP, they are supposed to be partner friendly. But Thomas, you already pointed out the Solanas the story, so I don't know if that is changing or not. But I mean, Microsoft is definitely very development partner friendly. Okay, so we have some comments, unless you guys have any other comments on the story. So Tony is saying, do I understand this right? Cloud-based is equal to containerized, specific for the customer. SaaS is a platform for many in same data model. I really don't believe that is true. I think what Tony is trying to say is this cloud-based is going to be slightly more private cloud for POS. I don't know how much it matters, to be completely honest. But when you say cloud, generally it means public cloud. But in some cases, it might be private cloud as well. More comments on this?
Well, it's an operation model. SaaS is an operation model. How it's getting delivered, whether the vendor is stupid enough to put it into a container and give each customer an own container or not, that's up to them, right?
Yeah, but I mean, you are never going to have the cost benefit of cloud if you are providing containerized or private cloud.
No, you won't. But that's one of the reasons why I say that the majority of the benefit is with the vendor.
Yeah. All right. So if we don't have any other comments on that, so Andy has, when moving to a SaaS-based solution, the customer must be willing to revisit their business process to achieve the ROI they need. Take an on-prem broken process that is 20 years old and move it to SaaS, then you will get no ROI. I'm sure Sam has seen this, and Andy is so right. On-prem architecture is very different. The processes were very different. What you could do in the on-prem world, you will never be able to do that in cloud and SaaS. Note that down. If you think that, it's probably going to be really broken implementation or failed implementation. Okay, then we have Thomas. I don't know if you want to read this. I'll read your comment and then you can comment more. So Thomas saying it is like digitizing some process, and he's using a French word here that I cannot read. You will have a French word again, digital process. But one more challenge here is the enforcement of processes due to restrictions in customizing. Thomas, if you have more colors there, please add.
Well, those are basically the colors. It's about its upgradability and about support cost, which limit the customer for good as well as for bad. And well, on the bad side, for the customer, it's probably in some instances, not probably, in some instances, it's also taking away some of their core processes that differentiate them from their competition. And there we are in a bit of a dilemma. When you are saying we will never see the same ability of customizability in cloud software as in on-premise software, that may be very well true, but the core reason is not that it's impossible. The reason is it's not wanted by the vendors.
Yeah, great point. Thomas and Robert, I don't know if you want to go to the next one. We can probably do one more. Right?
The next one is funny.
Okay. Yeah, this is the one we were all waiting for. For 32 episodes.
I guess this deals with SAP and just the what's going on with the litigation regarding their. I believe they feel that there's a monopoly with the way that they handle pricing and the customers and vendor lock-in. I think, which is a problematic issue going forward. And I think this is. I'm not really understanding the end result here, because it seems like it was a split decision. So I'm not sure what was approved and what wasn't. But I think it's pretty interesting. There's a problem here with, and Thomas, I think you're probably adamant about your answer that the pricing gives the vendors such a luxury to charge whatever they want, and then the companies that are so indebted to these ERP companies, they don't have a choice, because what are they supposed to do? Move to a new system? I mean, you can't just pick it up. It's not like this is a small change type of a thing. But I think this is probably par for the course. I believe it was something that was at the company Celonis, I guess, that was involved as well. That's a reseller, correct, Sam?
Yeah, so this would not be a reseller. I mean, they are fairly ISV, and ISV is probably an insult for them, because obviously they are one of the top, software company. I would say they are probably, and that's why, I mean, they are litigating SAP, because they can afford to do so.
Right.
An average ISV can never do this. So I mean, it's interesting. I would love to know a little bit more about what happened in terms of the split decision. But the way I read this story is, I mean, these startups, they all think that, the world should be open. Everybody should be able to make money freely, but that's not how the world works. Okay, politics get in, and when you are playing in the premises of SAP, obviously they have a lot more clout here. And I mean, they are right. I mean, to be completely honest, as much as emotionally we all want to argue that the world should be open, but that's not how the world works.
Yeah. So are you agreeing with the litigation, or are you agreeing with SAP, or you think it's a combo?
I don't agree with litigation at all. I think that's very emotional litigation, I would say. Celonis does not understand how the real world is supposed to work. If SAP is acquiring a company, SAP has no liability, I would say, for their partners, which should be very clear from the get-go. When you are building a solution on top of a partner solution, you are renting a place on somebody else's premises, and they can kick you out at any point of time.
Right.
Maybe to this point, what I found was that the like Celonis is a process mining, right? Software, and then SAP, they have their own process mining offering.
They acquired after.
Signavio, exactly. Right. So what I heard is like the point was that SAP is really like pushing their customers to really work with Signavio, actually, right? So that's why they also like entrenching their data from other softwares like Celonis, right? So that was like a core of the issue. Or I don't know if you have like any additional information to this.
What Celonis claims is that SAP makes it unusually hard for joint customers to use the Celonis solution based on SAP or on their SAP data.
Yeah.
Whether this is right or wrong, I don't know. But this is certainly an example of this co-opetition thing that we had earlier. In this case, it went very sour.
Yeah, and Thomas, this is aligned with the previous comment as well on Syspro writes off when you are saying customers always have options. No, they don't. When you are cannibalizing your own channel, and in this case, these are two similar stories, right? Because you are never going to get the same experience with the third-party solution.
And look at Salesforce acquiring bunches of companies like Steelbrick. Take Steelbrick. There have been bunches of partly even better solutions in the same areas with CPQ in this instance. Yeah, for example, Calidus. Yeah, and it happens. Calidus is no more a partner of Salesforce. Well, meanwhile, they're an SAP company, but they as you said, so there's never a guarantee that nothing happens. And I am quite sure that most of these bigger vendors, all of the ecosystem players, are strongly considering and thinking deep whether they buy a company out of their ecosystem or not.
It's a very
because
tricky
they
decision.
are dependent on the ecosystem as well.
It's a very tricky decision because you are going to piss off the other partners as well. It's never easy.
Yeah, and well, you need the trust of other vendors and other ISVs, even in adjacent areas. Yeah? So that's why I'm quite sure I'm convinced they think very long and very hard on this.
Well, isn't this more about the data and being able to use the data for migrations and things of that Sam, as well, in addition to everything we're talking about? So they have the right. I think SAP is protecting itself in some cases on this.
So my take on this, and SAP is right, they had to do this, to be completely honest. There were a lot of changes with the SAP's strategy as well when CEO changed. Previous CEO obviously was thinking that money is in CRM, CX, and everything, and they forgot about the whole enterprise stack, right? So that's why they had acquired all of those acquisitions. But I don't know how successful they are, to be completely honest. SAP was never a CRM, CX sort of company, So now the new CEO is doing slightly different because now they are focusing on enterprise architecture, process mining, and the only reason why SAP acquired this, they would never do this, to be completely honest, because they want to be as partner friendly as well, because it helps them close SAP S/4HANA deals. Okay, that from the process mining perspective, it's very easy to visualize what is happening with your process. The transition is going to be easier. Your SAP Rise is going to be much easier to sell. That's why SAP had to do that. And again, the acquisition has to be very strategic. They are not acquiring every single ISV vendor. That's not how SAP, Microsoft, Salesforce, these companies are designed. So I'll read into this comment unless you guys have any other follow-ups there by any chance. Okay, so Andy is saying Oracle does the same. They do not allow other direct database access and Fusion. There's no way in the hell you are doing that. Okay, seems totally fair. Yeah, for SAP to do the same. Celonis will have to completely re-architect their SAP solution. And again, I mean, when you are dependent on a vendor, regardless of what you are going to do, when SAP has an incentive for their own solution, it's never going to be the same experience. So this is what customers need to know, whether a customer owns, not customer, the vendor owns a solution. If they do, then you are probably better off going to that solution, because this politics is never going to go away. It will always be there.
By the way, speaking of process mining, Infor introduced their process mining solution, being part of their cloud suite, right? So that would be also interesting to take a look on that if they are somehow, make the access to the data, let's say, a little bit harder or restricted. But I don't think so. I never heard about it, right? But might be like similar, like a similar ERP type, similar situation.
So that's a catch-up acquisition, and every ERP vendor going to follow and replicate the same strategy, because now everybody's talking about enterprise architecture.
Yeah.
Good subject.
Yeah. Okay. So we have this comment, I guess. I mean, if you guys don't have any other comments, we have two more, and then Robert, I don't know if you want to wrap. We can wrap.
Yeah, we'll wrap it.
Okay, so just two more comments here. So SAP clearly decided to expand their solution offering. He's right. And then Thomas, I don't know if you have any other follow-ups here. So they are doing.
They're doing very interesting, especially in times of agentification. They are doing very interesting things by owning Signavio, LeanIX, and WalkMe. Yeah, so that is quite a straightforward reason for buying a solution like Signavio. It's not only about identifying where a process is, snatching or has a deadlock or a bottleneck. It's about being able to build new processes and new things and deploy them based upon what's needed. And even in an end state, build them pretty automatically based upon an automatic identification of where something is needed. And for that, you need to own the part, simple as. Whether AC Lonis likes that or not, and they are, I wouldn't say that's an emotional lawsuit. I mean, they are a $1 billion company as well. So
all right.
And they, being a German company, there's a reason why they sued in the United States.
Yeah.
This is not emotional. This is hard business.
Well, it's a complex story, so we can table that with some of the other things that we're talking about. Let's wrap it up. Let's talk about it's a holiday weekend, everyone. So Sam, you're coming off your birthday. We have an extra day of relaxation. Jan, you're not in the United States currently, so you don't get that luxury. But what's everybody doing this weekend? So if Jan, wrap it up. Closing thoughts.
Unfortunately, we didn't get through all those the topics we prepared, right? As usual. But just speaking today's episode was dedicated mostly to the ERP, somehow related stories. It was really great, right? So personally, I would be happy if there would be like more stories like those, because of course that's it's super interesting, like for everyone, right? Since like ERP is like a heart of every company. So
we didn't talk about AI that much today because it was all ERP, which was interesting. AI
is AI, right? So I do write like a lot about like AI from like a different perspectives, and that's okay, right? But as a being like a user in a company, like factory in my case, right? So it's not that much about what's behind, right? It's about like the solution I'm using like every day, and how like new features, acquisitions of the new tools, whatever by the vendor helps me in my everyday life, right? So If there's the AI embedded somehow helping me, I'm more than happy. If it's just like algorithm, I'm also happy, right? If it helps, right? So I'm more like I really discussing about like a tools and solutions rather than those like a particular parts of technology. That's my take.
That's good.
So quick time check, guys. We are 1 minute over, and if anybody has meeting, we are simply wrapping. So feel free to drop if you have to, and we will be wrapping in next 2 minutes, I guess. Robert, over to you again.
Yep. Thomas, how's the move? What's going on this weekend? Maybe in 20 seconds, so we can fit in schedule here.
Research about interesting enterprise stories that's going on this weekend.
I'm sure you're doing
maybe a glass of wine.
There you go. Okay, Shashi.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend. A lot of travel coming up, and a lot of travel was there previously. But there are two things that I wanted to mention that I'm going to do over the weekend. Is I'm now talking at conferences, one to marketers not to run after shiny objects, especially with AI. The other one is for technologists to not to talk about too much of in the weeds and how to show business value. So very passionate about these two topics, as you know, in our discussions. So that's what I'll be doing this weekend with a glass of beer, maybe.
I think it's interesting because I think a lot of vendors talk about features and functionality and innovation versus the value, that business impact to what the customer needs to hear. Otherwise, there's no reason that they would actually move to that technology because they don't know how to get there. There's always a path to get there and prerequisites from a data perspective. Obviously, data is everything, and we know that it needs to be. But I'm going to be hanging out with family and friends. I have a 1.5-year-old, so we're going to be chasing her around and maybe get some paddleboarding in because I live by the water, and barbecue. Sam, what about you?
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure, Robert, you are in the same situation as me. When you have 2 kids under 5, you never have an extra day that I have been waiting for last 5 years. So it's going to be a lot of chasing around, I guess, for me as well. But that's fun too. I mean, that's part of the process. So thank you so much once again, guys, for joining in for this show. Thank you everyone for contributing your insights. It's always fun. We meet every Thursday 11 a.m. Eastern. So I'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.